r/EntitledParents. Your dog's nervous around people? That means you beat him. Give him to my daughter. Now here's a recent one about Ty, my fluffer doggo baby. But a thing, before we start this tale of entitlement, Tyson wasn't raised by me. He was raised by an old man, who Ty loved to death. He was protective, but nice. So when went into the hospital after he suffered from cardiac arrest, luckily he was resuscitated, and he's currently still in the hospital but recovering well. He told my mum to take him since we were trustworthy and wouldn't get rid of him without his saying it first. When we got Ty in the start of 2017, he was really shy and timid. It'd take him about 3 days to determine if you were nice, and even then, we had to teach him how to play. Basic commands, and we were still teaching him to walk alongside us. This happened when we were on a walk around the cemetery near my home. With his harness and lead on, we were ready to go learn. Inc/me equals America, EP entitled bitch who needs a slap, ET entitled bitch's little spawn who also needs a slap. Ty, the amazing fluffer boy that is my doggo. We started the walk going down to the back path of the cemetery. There was a funeral and certain people hate Ty because of his size. So we went round to the back and started making our own way round to do 2 laps of the whole place. All was good until we were halfway through the second lap. I was talking to another dog owner whose husky I used to look after. The husky is called Diablo. He has a wheelchair. Got hit by a car as a pup and has the biggest ears possible. We were having a nice chat about diets and all that when Ty jumped and tried to hide between my legs. So I look around and spot a kid who's looking about 9 to 10 holding a stick and trying to poke Ty. I move the stick away and tell the kid, "Oh, stop trying to poke him. If you want to stroke him, you have to ask me." That was a mistake. She runs off to the chapel and runs back a couple of minutes later with her mom/dad. I don't know, they looked like they could be either. And then it begins. EP, did you tell my baby she couldn't pet your dog? Me, no ma'am, I told him not to poke at my dog with a stick. He's a very timid dog and gets nervous really easily. EP, so that doesn't mean you can tell my child what to do? Me, I can when it can harm my dog. Now I don't like to interact with people, but if my dog or any pet is on the line, I'll stab a bitch. The kid tries to climb on Ty like an effing horse, so he does what any dog would do. He ran, not too far obviously, but I went after him and tried to calm him down. ET is on the floor crying that she broke her arm and all that, and unleashes the dragon that is the entitled parent. EP, how dare your dog harm my child? She then goes on to say she'll sue me, then goes, give me your dog. Me, excuse me, what? EP, give me your dog. Me, after your kid did that and you threatened to sue me? No. ET, I want to play with the dog. EP, see? Just give me the dog and everything will be okay. I'll make sure you don't abuse him anymore. She makes kissy noises to try and get Ty to come to her. He doesn't move. Me, well sorry, but I don't abuse my dog. He's always been timid ever since he was a pup. EP, just give him to me. Me, no, he's my dog. I don't have to give him to you. EP, where is your father? I'll have a word with him about you abusing your dog. Me, he's in blank, sorry. EP, who's he then? She points to the guy I was talking to. Me, he's a friend of my family's. We like to talk and he likes to record the recovery of his dog. Lo and behold, there's a GoPro attached to the pup's wheelchair. This is when the EP huffs again and walks off, her spawn in tow. The GoPro wasn't recording, he has it just so no one will try to hit his dog. Yep, they think they should own your dog. Classic entitled parent right here. I always love it when they get put in their place. Anyway, here's a picture of Ty. Enjoy! Entitled mom tries to purchase $1,000 plus in outdoor equipment. Tells me she doesn't need to pay. Hey, my first post here, and this story isn't as crazy as some of the stuff on this sub, but it was one of the most entitled displays I have ever seen in public. A few years back, I worked at an independent outdoor supply store. We were attached to a very popular camp that specialised in some heavy duty trekking for youths. That being the case, we carried a full range of gear from about mid-range to very high end. My boss was an angel, and she personally made sure everything we sold in the store was quality and would last on the trails. 90% of the trekkers that we worked with used equipment provided by the camp, as we were in a fairly remote location and schlepping your gear out to where we were wasn't easy. Now, the season that I was working saw some extremely bad flooding. Many of the trekking groups lost their equipment. Now my boss, being an absolute sweetheart, offered to give gear away for free to the groups that lost their gear so they could continue their treks. Honestly, everyone was super cool about it, except entitled mother, EM. The first time we saw her, she had just been pulled from the trail. Her son was alright, and at that point EM was okay too. She just wanted to get gear and hit the trail again. The problem started when EM had gotten off the trail and was ready to go home. I was working the register that shift. EM, we had the reimbursement for the flood damages. We don't need to pay. I ring her up. Her total is in excess of $1,000. Ma'am, we reimbursed your gear when you were pulled from the trail. I'm going to need to check with the manager to make sure this is okay. Now I was being diplomatic and going through the motions. What she was asking for was outrageous. She had a $600 tent and 3 pairs of hiking boots in her cart, among other things. We really prided ourselves on good service, so an outright no was out of the question. EM, It's okay, I remember you from before. You were nice and rang us up last time. I'm from the trek that lost our gear in the flood. You remember, right? We don't need to pay. There were just a few things we forgot to get reimbursed last time. Her previous reimbursement was about $500, which was pretty standard for what she had apparently lost. Me. Ma'am, your total is over $1,000. I'm really going to need to check with a manager. Please wait right here. At that point, my friend, F, who was the manager, happened to wander over. F, hey, why don't I take this from here? What's the problem? EM, I'm getting this reimbursed. I don't need to pay. My son needs this gear. F, well ma'am, actually, you do. You ran up a bill of over $500 last reimbursement. And you don't need to get 2 reimbursements. Also, I have it on record that you rented a tent, so you don't need a new tent and 3 pairs of boots. EM, we had a tent we weren't using in our bag. We lost it in the flood. My son needs this equipment or else we won't be able to camp at home. F, okay ma'am, we have some fine $150 tents. If you opt for one of those, we might be able to swing the reimbursement. One of our policies is that it was better to make an exception for a nasty customer than lose our reputation for great service. Unfortunately, this meant jerks often got what they wanted. EM, no, we want this one. F, okay then, if you're not willing to pay, you can put back everything in your cart. EM, this is hands down the worst service I have ever received. We will be reporting all of you and writing this up. This is unacceptable. F, fine then ma'am, would you like to pay by cash or card, or would you like to put the gear back? EM grabbed her kid and stormed out. Apparently, my friend saw her exchange with me play out and was fed up with her because she'd given him some trouble when she walked in. There wasn't catastrophic instant karma, but boy, was it cathartic to tell her the cold hard truth. EP tries to hit my pregnant mom, loses custody of his only child. If it doesn't fit here, please direct me to a more appropriate subreddit. Originally, this was posted in r/ProRevenge, and someone told me to post it here. The EP is named as A-Hole. Some context. I was 11 when this happened, and my mom was about 8ish months pregnant with my little brother. Her boyfriend was a massive waste of DNA, and usually took his frustration out on me, but he thought I was at Mima's, my grandmother, because my mom's dietary changes while being pregnant were causing her health problems. I was over helping her with housework, and had been playing games for about an hour at the time of the incident. So A-Hole had gotten home about 8 or 9 PM, and he was already in a bad mood for some reason. My mom was going to see what was going on and asked him to stop shouting because last time the neighbors came over due to the noise and volume, and she didn't want to have to explain to them again. Honestly, I didn't blame her. She's pregnant, her feet hurt, and she was in the hospital for kidney stones like 3 days before this happened, so she's tired and frustrated. Apparently, A-Hole decided he felt the need to be mad at her and started shouting obscenities at my mother, which led to me grabbing the baseball bat I kept under my bed and sneaking closer to here. Well, right as I got within range, I saw his hand fly up, and I had seen that gesture before. He was aiming to hit my pregnant mother, so my first reaction was to swing that bat into his leg as hard as I could. And when he went down, I hit him 3 or 4 more times at full force, mind you. And even though I was a child, I was certainly not weak. I knew to aim for his knees. And wrist apparently. I nailed his left wrist at one point. My mother called Mima and 911, which resulted in a cop car and an ambulance. The cops asked what happened as they loaded the man into the ambulance, and he tried to say I assaulted him unprompted. This is when Mima came to rescue and interject that 1, I have never hit someone without being hit first, and 2, A-Hole and my mom were constantly fighting. She then said they could ask the neighbors who verified the statement. When the cops then asked why I hit him so hard and broke at least 1 knee for sure, I stated he could hit me and I'd probably hide since he's bigger than me, but he was going to hit my mom. And she is a baby nearly here. I didn't want the baby to get hurt, so I hit him first and made sure he wouldn't do it again. My mom agreed to press charges for assault, child endangerment, and child abuse. The cops were also informed of how he verbally, mentally, and emotionally abused me, and Mima had at least 1 voice recording of it happening in the past. Now, I didn't go to the court case because I was a child, and everyone agreed to not bring in the child if it was avoidable, which is nice since Mima had physical proof of his abuse. But later I found out he was only allowed weekend visitation at my mom's convenience, and he had to pay child support. A few years afterwards, he got himself arrested for some reason and had his visitation rights revoked by the court. So yeah, don't attack my mom and don't F with my little brother. My family will ruin you. Nothing was more gratifying than knowing this man can no longer see his only child because he thought he could get away with being an abusive dick. ED thinks he's entitled to his daughter's scholarship money. I remember a talk I had with my grandma years ago, and it just made me hate everything about her son, my dad. Backstory. My dad was an absentee parent, and whenever he visits home, he'd emotionally, physically, and mentally abuse me. This one is really blurry to me, but this happened when I was in 6th grade or maybe high school. I suppressed this memory in the back of my mind because it's the reason why I have PTSD. To the story. So, when I was around 11 to 13 years old, I found out that my dad, despite having no monetary issues, never paid for my schooling. everything from school uniform, tuition fees, my allowance, school books, etc. All was paid for by my grandma. And at that point, he was now more open to wishing that I was no longer born. He also said one time that he wished he had killed me when I was just a baby. Great father, I know. So when I was 12 and just got to high school, my school offered a scholarship to their students. I was one of the students who was part of the scholarship, getting 10 to 15,000 pesos after every school year. Dick man found out about it. He went home and asked my grandma about it. Apparently, my grandma was saving my scholarship money so that I have money for college. I never got the money after my grandma died, but that's a whole different story. I was in my room when they were talking. I always locked myself in my room whenever Dick man was home. After a while, I heard him shouting at Grandma. It scared me. Her doctor had told her not to be stressed, but of course, Dick man never did care. He was shouting at her, telling her that he deserved to handle my money. My grandma wasn't born yesterday though. I knew that giving my dad the money would be a big mistake, so she said no, once more. It ended with him shouting and screaming about how he's my dad and he should be handling my money. He then threatened my grandma when she wouldn't budge. His exact dialogue: "I will burn down this house and make sure that you will die in it. You're selfish." He then proceeded to actually throw stuff at my door. It never ended good, to be honest. I'm 22 now, and whenever I hear loud crashes near me, I just feel so terrified, thinking that my now dead dad would be breaking my door and beating me up again. But hey, at least he's out of my life now, for good. Give me your test paper. EK equals entitled kid, EM equals entitled mother, me equals me, T equals teachers. English is my first language, so make fun of me if I mess up. Backstory: I was doing a very important test to get into something, and we had 6 people at each table. This was taking place in another school, and kids from a lot of different schools were there. This story happened to me quite recently, so I thought maybe I should post it for 5 karma. I was doing my test, just like anyone else, and there was a girl, EK, not in my school, in front of me, clearly struggling with her paper. I didn't say anything since it was very important. Then she started talking to me for some reason. EK: "Hi." Me: "Shh." EK: "No, pass me your paper." Me: "Why?" I thought she was joking. EK: "Just pass it. It's really hard. You can take mine and just redo it." There was 5 minutes left in the test, so even if I wanted to, I couldn't. Me: "There's 5 minutes left. I can't. No, shh." EK: "Pass it." Me: "No, why the hell would I give it to you?" EK: "Give it to me, dipshit." Teachers were walking up to me, and EK switched our test papers. T: "What are you doing?" EK: "He tried taking my test and switching it with mine. Luckily, I kept mine." "No, she took mine. Look at the name in the paper." T looks at paper. M: "It's yours. Take it back from EK." I got extra time in the end, and after I finished the test, I left, and EK and EM were standing there. EM: "You made my daughter fail the test. Now she's never gonna get in." Me: "She was trying to cheat and take my test. Now I have to go home. Leave me alone." EK and EM looked so angry. Also, if you're wondering, I got in. Okay guys, that's going to be it for today for r/EntitledParents. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like, comment down below about any other subreddits you'd like me to check out, hit that subscribe button, and click the little notification bell in the corner to be notified of all future uploads. See you guys in the next one. Peace!